Dolly Parton's story, from a poor little girl to a household name, has to be one of the most inspirational stories out there, sending signals that anyone could become anything by taking the right steps. Her career has been spectacular, dotted by some major collaborations that have helped her grow. However, at some point one of these collaborations turned sour, leading to some major friction that resulted in Dolly harboring a deep hate for one of her fellow icons in the music world. Care to learn more about this issue? Just stick with us for a bit. Born on January 19, 1946 in Locust Ridge, Tennessee, Dolly Rebecca Parton was the first of 12 children born into a family hit strongly by poverty. Her family, growing up in a small cabin in the Great Smoky Mountains, had very little and had to make do with what her father brought home from his work as a sharecropper and tobacco farmer. Yet despite these hardships, the family was close-knit and deeply loving. Later, Dolly would attribute much of her musical influence to the depth of those family ties and the encouragement of loved ones. Music filled Dolly's young life, and she found that she loved the craft when she was just a young child. Her mother, Avie Lee, sang a host of traditional ballads and folk songs to her children, instilling in Dolly the sense of melody and storytelling that would become integral to her artistry. Church was also a big factor in her life. Of Pentecostal denomination, Dolly was raised amidst the fiery gospel music of that creed, which forged a desire inside her and led to some of her first experiences performing in front of an audience. Dolly began to hone her talent early in life, composing songs about her experiences in life. An uncle gave the 8-year-old girl her first guitar, and she taught herself to play, putting her emotion into both the lyrics and the melodies. Songs written at this young age reflected her struggles within her family and her hopes for a better life. When she was 10 years old, she was performing on local radio and television shows, turning heads with her phenomenal voice and charismatic style. Her journey took her to Nashville upon completing high school and was all set to conquer the world of country music. Initially, the talent scouts doubted her talent. She was encouraged to iron out her style to fit into the mold of what a typical woman performer should be. But Dolly kept her unique look and sound, knowing that eventually it would pay off. That big break was far more likely to come from her songwriting abilities, which were gradually gaining notice from the major artists. She co-wrote the song "Put It Off Until Tomorrow" with her uncle Bill Owens. It became a minor hit for Bill Phillips in 1966. The success opened up opportunities for her as a songwriter, and soon Dolly was signing with Combine Publishing, which worked to hone her writing skills. Her songs were filled with emotion born from living in poor conditions and from observations of human nature. Her work became popular among country music lovers, and she began building a good reputation as a songwriter. Another great door opened for Dolly in 1967 when she was invited to join the Porter Wagoner Show, which became one of the most popular television shows. Soon, Dolly won over fans with her warmth, talent, and powerful voice. Work on the show brought her before a national audience and defined her as a young star of country music. Porter Wagoner became her mentor. Their professional collaboration helped her develop her stage presence and build confidence. The two recorded a succession of hit duets like "The Last Thing on My Mind" and "Just Someone I Used to Know," which became country hits, nailing her position in the industry. Meanwhile, Dolly's solo career was in full bloom. Her first album, "Hello, I'm Dolly," came out in 1967 and included "Dumb Blonde" and "Something Fishy." Along with its success, the album proved her talent not only as a singer but also as a songwriter. Dolly started to shake scenes that were dominated basically by males, proving that she could make it out on her own. One of the first major success of Dolly was when she sang the song entitled "Jolene" in 1973. The inspiration for the song comes from one bank teller with whom her husband used to interact. It held universal themes of love and insecurity. With its haunting melody and emotive delivery by Dolly, it became an instant classic. To this day, Jolene remains one of her most iconic songs. It showed Dolly's talent for narrating stories through her songs, while on the other side, her knack for creating relatable characters pulled at the heartstrings of all in the global arena. Another major breakthrough in her early career was the song "I Will Always Love You," which she wrote in 1973 to bid farewell to Porter Wagoner when she wanted to move ahead with a solo career. Her heart was put into that song, which was one of her favorite hits. This song, in turn, established Dolly as a star, and during the years was covered by innumerable artists all over the world, such as Whitney Houston. These early years set the bedrock for the decades-long legacy Dolly would create in her career. A will to rise above everything that was happening with her family, her love for music, and her belief in herself helped her make that dream a reality. By changing those hardships into stories and songs, she could connect with the audience way beyond these humble beginnings. From Jolene to I Will Always Love You, these were the first breakthroughs of Dolly into the world of music, showing her unique voice and telling talents. Thus, it marked the beginning of this brilliant career, which would make her one of the most loved figures in music and entertainment history. The talent, versatility, and some marvelous collaborations across genres are what helped Dolly Parton in her flourishing career. While Dolly is considered a country mainstay, she did forays into pop, bluegrass, and gospel, showing her range and expanding her audience. One of her most famous collaborations started when Dolly joined the Porter Wagoner Show in 1967 along with Porter Wagoner. This would prove to be a pivotal collaboration that brought Dolly to the attention of a national television audience and helped her to establish her star image. Together, they recorded several duet hits such as The Last Thing on My Mind and Daddy Was an Old-Time Preacher Man. In the end, the collaboration with Porter earned Dolly respect from Nashville and earned her a place in country music. When she left to begin her solo career in 1974, she wrote I Will Always Love You for Wagoner as sort of a farewell song. That song would later become an international sensation when Whitney Houston remade the song in 1992, turning it into that memorable, powerful ballad that spanned country and pop. By the late 1970s, Dolly began the expansion of her sound. This crossover to pop music proved most successful with her 1977 album, Here You Come Again, produced by Gary Klein. The title track became her first big pop hit, reaching number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100 and bringing Dolly to an entirely new audience. She successfully merged her roots in country music with pop, and showed her adaptability to move into a different musical landscape with great success. During the 1980s, Dolly worked with a number of music's most prolific names. Her 1983 duet with Kenny Rogers entitled Islands in the Stream and written by the Bee Gees reached number 1 on both the country and pop charts. Because of their great chemistry, along with the catchiness of this tune, it was an instant classic. Rogers and Parton continued touring for several years, making them one of the longest-running country duos. Dolly also collaborated with Emmylou Harris and Linda Ronstadt on the highly acclaimed 1987 album Trio, which mixed traditional country and folk with elements of pop. It was also this collaboration in Trio that birthed the hatred Dolly had for her fellow musical icon. We will get to that in a little bit. Dolly had shown herself willing to collaborate with newer and younger artists and take advantage of more modern platforms to reach a new generation. She recorded the song Rainbowland with Miley Cyrus, showing she was open to other sounds and to younger listeners. She has also worked with artists like Norah Jones, Sia, and even EDM artist Galantis, who remixed her classic hit, Jolene, into a dance track. With the ability to adapt and collaborate without losing her authenticity, Dolly reached audiences across genres. From country to pop to even EDM, she's kept extending her musical reach, piecing together an iconic career in the music world that few could parallel in historical terms. In turn, her adaptability and collaborations with numerous artists prove her singular ability to merge genres with equally strong results and keep her very distinctive voice and style intact. Acting was just about as organic for Dolly Parton as was her rise to music stardom. In the latter part of the 1970s and right into the early part of the 1980s, Dolly was a natural fit for Hollywood. Full of energy and sharp-witted, with a full personality on display approach, Dolly shone. Her first film was the 1980 hit movie 9 to 5, a comedy that really found appeal with audiences regarding workplace issues and female empowerment. Starring alongside Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin, Dolly took on the role of Doralee Rhodes, a sassy secretary who takes a stand against her sexist boss. Dolly's part in the film 9 to 5 was a breakout success, showing off her comic timing, which earned her a Golden Globe nomination. She also did the title song for the film in which she starred, landing #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, earning her Grammy nominations. Continuing to act, Dolly appeared in films throughout the 1980s and 1990s. In 1982, she starred with Burt Reynolds in the musical comedy The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, based on the Broadway show. She was Miss Mona, the owner of a small-town brothel. She did not disappoint and scored good reviews for the role. She contributed the song I Will Always Love You to the soundtrack, adding to the success of the film. In 1989, she starred in Steel Magnolias, an ensemble drama with Sally Field, Julia Roberts, and Shirley MacLaine. Dolly brought humor and emotional depth to the role of Truvy, the warm and witty beauty salon owner. In addition to acting, Dolly opened a theme park, Dollywood, in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, not too far from her hometown. Since its inception in 1986, Dollywood has been a very special business for Dolly, as it allows her the opportunity to invest back into her community and pay homage to her Appalachian heritage. What used to be a small amusement park, Dolly turned into one of the biggest parks with rides, music, and other attractions, all showing the culture of Appalachia. Dollywood marked the transition of Dolly from a successful entertainer to a successful businesswoman. Over time, the park continued to grow and eventually included Dollywood's Splash Country, a water park, and Dollywood's Dreammore Resort, completing her vision for a full-fledged family destination. The locale has also served as a venue for her charity work, most especially her Imagination Library, which provides free books for children across the globe. Dolly Parton has constantly amazed her audiences with how incredibly easy it is for her to extend her talent and interests into the fields of acting and business. Not only did her name become synonymous with Hollywood, but the creation of Dollywood continued to brand her relevance well past the music industry, defining her place as an icon in entertainment and business. And now, let's talk about the musical icon that Dolly hates so much and what might have caused that. During one of her collaborations, Dolly worked alongside Linda Ronstadt and Emmylou Harris. The three artists' initial collaborative period, beginning in the mid-1970s, found each of them enjoying individual success and critical acclaim within their own specific musical worlds. Whereas Dolly had attained mainstream success with her country pop crossover sound, Emmylou was the darling with her more traditionally minded country approach, and Linda was an influential figure in rock and pop circles. The three shared a common dream of making an album that would merge their distinctive styles. What began as a fantastically exciting artistic idea would eventually encounter problems that would indeed test their friendship and professional relationship. The origins of the collaboration lay with Emmylou Harris, who had long admired Dolly and Linda's talents and felt immediately that something special could come out of putting the two together. Emmylou had this dogged ear for harmony and was taken by the idea of perpetuating historic sounds. She dreamed of bringing Dolly and Linda together on a record celebrating the rich heritage of country music, highlighting each of their individual strengths. Both Dolly and Linda were pretty enthusiastic about the idea initially, and all three artists indeed began to meet and sing informally, finding harmony and inspiration. As the three progressed from casual jamming sessions into more serious recording sessions, their differences in creative vision started to take shape, especially between Dolly and Linda. With Dolly, she liked to just let the music take flight and hopefully capture that raw emotion within the song. On the other hand, Linda was known for her perfectionism and attention to detail. She wanted their recordings to be perfect down to every little detail, often suggesting a number of takes and paying great attention to minor adjustments in their harmonies and arrangements. That clash in approach created some early tension, as Dolly felt that Linda's perfectionism was stifling the natural flow of their music. Indeed, she believed that music should happen organically instead of being overproduced. Emmylou found herself in the middle, acting as the mediator between Dolly and Linda. Emmylou valued the input of both ladies and was dedicated to keeping the peace musically as well as interpersonally within the trio. She tried at times to negotiate compromises, suggesting they find a balance between spontaneity and precision that would satisfy both Dolly and Linda. Emmylou would sometimes suggest coming back to tracks at a later date, allowing them all the time to cool off and return with a clearer head. However, these only temporarily worked because the creative differences between Dolly and Linda kept re-emerging throughout the recording sessions. As they were getting close to finishing their first album, this friction gradually increased. Dolly and Linda had the most pronounced personalities, each wanting to have a major say in the direction of the project. While Dolly's carefree attitude ran in conflict with Linda's perfectionism, Linda also considered Dolly too lax to fit into her own notion of artistic work. That tension mounted as both began to take their differences personally. Dolly felt caged and frustrated at times, wondering if she could survive under the conditions where her artistic process was not taken as the norm. The three women did eventually complete the album, which was released in 1987 under the title Trio. Despite all that tension between them, the album was both a commercial and critical success, to say the least. The success of Trio thus revealed what they could get from all three coming together, yet at the same time left unresolved the tension between Dolly and Linda. To Emmylou, this was bittersweet, considering the pride in what they had accomplished versus the sad knowledge that the creative process strained the friendship between her two friends. Years later, Dolly publicly apologized for her part in adding to the tension, citing how her resistance and requests for creative freedom might have added to the challenges they faced. She was sorry for any bruised feelings and felt respect toward the talents of both Linda and Emmylou. At the same time, people felt there were still some unresolved emotions. Dolly confessed the experience had left an indelible mark on her. While proud of what they had achieved, beneath such satisfaction lay the question of whether she had really overcome the frustrations that arose throughout the project. Dolly was contrite, yet ambivalent, as though never quite able to forgive the creative constraints she had felt during the making of Trio. Dolly, for her part, apologized to Linda and voiced her own admiration for Linda's artistic instincts, noting that their differences had been hard to navigate creatively, but also productive. Since then, the two women have spoken well of each other and continue to value each other's respective strengths despite their history. Emmylou, ever the peacemaker, remained a close friend to both Dolly and Linda, continuing to work with each individually and speaking warmly of the magic they created together. In the late 1990s, the trio got back together to record Trio 2, the follow-up of their very successful first album. This time, with the benefit of hindsight and maturity, they attacked the project with a deepened appreciation of each other's artistic visions. The old tensions were still there, but they worked out better this time around, and when Trio 2 hit the stores, it enjoyed great success, further cementing their legacy as one of country music's most adored collaborations. Through artistic tension and personal conflicts, the collaboration of Dolly, Linda, and Emmylou remains one of the best instances of different perspectives coming together. Efforts put in, all together on Trio and Trio 2, left a mark on country music forever. That will be all, folks, and we hope you enjoyed the video. We will see you in the next one.